because I hate wasting people's time, and my apologies, everyone.
Can everybody see that?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, great. I'll just enlarge that. There we go. Can you see that, Mandy?
I can. Thank you
You're welcome.
very much, Stephen.
Let me know when you want me to slide through.
Okay, so I'm on.
Yep.
And good evening, everybody. My apologies. So I will get right to it. It's been a long day. I'm in London, Ontario. My role with Bell Media, I've got an amazing job. My job is to come up with ideas that make impact in the community. And about 7 years ago, living in London, London had one of the highest rates of unemployment in Canada. It actually, at the time, it had the second highest rate. And I love my city. And I was like, why are we just telling all these sad stories? Do we have an opportunity to tell some good stories about who is hiring? And that was the birth of London and Area JobWorks. 7 years later, we have been building out this program in other communities across Canada. We have Atlantic Works, Central Ontario Works, and last year we launched Winnipeg Works. And we're excited that Winnipeg Works has renewed for a second year. And London Area Works has renewed for our 7th year, and we run it twice a year. And it was through conversations with Stephen and Chantel and Tracy Amos and some other folks from Northern Ontario that we were hearing about all of the glorious opportunities in the North. And so we put together this program. I know I'm on a time frame, so I just wanted to do a quick setup, and then we'll go through it. And Gail, I believe that you're the hosting this. If at any point, like, you need me to just go time or like go faster or anything like that, please let me know, and I can take your cues if that's okay with you. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so Northern Works. Let's go, Stephen. Let's go to the second slide, sir. So embrace the North and all the golden opportunities that come your way. So are you nature obsessed? We've got you covered. Want to visit a new lake every day? How about making more money and paying off your debt? Dream job? Well, we have that to offer too. In fact, you could literally strike gold. Working strategically with our municipalities and our employers in mining and forestry, we are excited to share with the rest of the world all of the opportunities to grow in the North. And how will we do that? We're going to do that by using the CTV, our microphone, the platform of utilizing our news at 6, and we're going to let everybody know about the opportunities that are available in the North. With the desire to work hard and play hard, Northern Works will transport people to where the jobs are and be a part of a new community who's hiring and what's growing. Could not come at a better time, and we encourage you to take advantage of this golden opportunity. In addition to this, of who's hiring and what's growing, Northern Works is a campaign that celebrates everything the North has to offer. From employment to leisure, the North provides a lifestyle that is as exciting as it is peaceful of the Ojibwe Cree and Ojibwe tribes who walk this land first. Not if, but when will I move will be what our viewers and listeners will start to think. Next slide, Stephen. Thank you. So who's hiring? So what we're going to show you very quickly is how we can use a digital landscape, how it's pushed out through our CTV news during 6 o'clock when we kick off a campaign, and how it will drive viewers and listeners to see what opportunities they are to work, live, and play in Northern Ontario. A few weeks ago, we were invited to present at a mayor's meeting. There's many people represented. And before we started chatting, we heard about the need for ambulance drivers. This is the type of program that we can utilize, that we can roll out across many communities across Ontario, Canada for that matter. And we have all sorts of ideas on how we can do this and keep it in a really succinct way. We also see an opportunity for us to approach our mines in the forestry industry in Northern Ontario to also work with us. Next slide, Stephen. So what's growing? And then I think, Stephen, do you have the London Area Works website that you can show, do a share screen? Maybe you could pull that up next. It won't be on this deck. It will just be if you just Googled it and we could pull it up. And so that website, what we're going to show you is that this is the website that will host all of the opportunities of what's growing and what's thriving in your community. And Stephen's going to pull up this website, and this is how we would love to be able to work with your community. We do have some communities that we've spoken to already, some of the different municipalities who are very, very interested in participating. And this is how it will look. So scroll down a little bit, Stephen. So you'll see that Northern Works, it will reside in CTV News, Northern Ontario. And this is the magic of working with Bell Media. Over 776,000 viewers every single month. So it's like that's a ton of people. And that's what we're going to be driving. We're going to use our 6 o'clock news, or we're going to be driving people to this website. And it's here in these buckets. So scroll down, Stephen, a little bit more. Those are the news stories, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Great. If you could stop there, Stephen, please. Just go up so I can see the 4 buckets, just up a little bit. Thank you. This is how we do it, gang. So we would host local jobs, hiring today, the employer services, and these are all of the partners that we'd like to pull in, job tips, and then best of work series. So that's just an archive where we would post all of the news stories. Stephen, if you scroll up a little bit, or come down, please, sir.
So
I don't know about
basically,
you
just
guys,
as
right?
as well.
I'm ready to not be in a virtual world anymore. Ready to have these meetings face to face.
This is the sub-site of CTV. Northern Works would be a sub-site created on the CTV Northern Ontario News website. Where do you want me to go in?
Just stop there, Stephen, on the logos, the partner logos. Go up a little bit. Right there. So what I want to show everybody, because, and I'm not sure how much of this information people are aware of what, like how much of this information people have seen before, or if this is day one. And I'm being mindful of your time and that you have a busy agenda. So I don't want to get into so many details, but what I want to point out here is these are the partners here. These are partners where it is their goal to connect job seekers to employers. And that is the most magical way that Bell Media, we can work with our partners, because they have the content, they know who's hiring, they know, my goodness, they know everything there is about the job sector in each of our communities. Once we lay in who our partners are, and you'll see the City of London. So for London Area Works, it's just the City of London that's the municipality that's a partner. In Winnipeg, it's Winnipeg. That's the municipality. Central Ontario Works, it's Simcoe County, for example. We really, really work hard at pulling in the partners where it's their mandate to get their citizens working, to make the unmovable movable and find people jobs, and collapse everybody into this website where we use the microphone of Bell Media to get this message out. Then you'll see below, we have then additional, and this is where the forestry and the mines come in, that will help complement and push out Northern Works. So right now we've got this Means Transform Products and Masco. They're also pushing out in this area, London and Area Works, letting people know that they're hiring today. And so you just have all of this. It's just classic marketing. We just have all of this energy going in the same direction. Go to Northern Ontario Works. You'll find jobs there today. We have constructed this. You can go back to the PowerPoint, Stephen, and if you could go to where all the municipalities, that page, please, where we identify the 6 municipalities. Slide 4. Thank you. The only way a program like this can really work in terms of really hitting a home run, and so it's equitable, is if all 6 municipalities are involved. We already know a few municipalities that really want to participate, and we could just press go and yay, we have Northern Ontario work. But then it's not equitable. Then it doesn't make sense for Northern Ontario. So what we've done is we've layered it out. If you could go back up to slide 4, please. We've layered it out, and our news team, when they kick off this campaign, and we're really hoping that we can kick off by May, June 2022. And just a sidebar, we've been working away at this since January of 2021. So for 14 months, we've been trying to figure out how to make this one work in your community. It is a little bit more, was actually pretty exciting. I mean, my husband wants to move there. He's heard me talk about this so much that our news team is going to provide editorial that'll support each of the 6 municipalities first. And that's how we can do it equitable. So it's not just Wawa that will get all of this news editorial attention. We also believe, because of the growth of Northern Ontario, we see an opportunity to identify places to live, where your kids can go to school, where you can go grocery shopping, everything, all on this platform, Northern Works. Next slide, Stephen. I can hit pause. Does anyone have questions? Because I can appreciate there's a lot of information coming.
We can just continue on for the entire and do the entire presentation and do questions at the end, Mandy.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, for it.
Yeah, and just to let you know, my camera's only off because my Wi-Fi isn't working very well.
Okay, no problem. How do we do these things? Okay, so my job, I don't do sales. That is Stephen Dufour's job. And actually, Stephen Dufour just won an award today, which is very exciting that I witnessed him along with 41 other colleagues across Canada. So congratulations, Stephen. But what we do with a program like this is we try to make it affordable, make it make sense, and then it renews every year. And in the cases of the other markets that we have it, we do run it twice a year. And we would work with each of our partners on what that looks like. What is the content you want in those 6 buckets? And we work strategically with you. Next slide. The actual execution is super clean. So on February 28th, for example, so in 5 days, we're going to execute for a 13-week spring flight in London. And so every Monday night for 13 weeks, the CTV News London newsroom is going to tell a story during their 6 o'clock news about a booming business, about a business that's hiring, about a business that needs people, about a business that's offering benefits. Our news team, we understand what this program is about. We can't tell our newsroom, though, what company to interview. The same will be the same for Northern Works. Our 6 o'clock news team, they have committed to helping us get this campaign off. We are recommending that this first flight is 6 weeks, that we go out with a 6-week campaign in May or June, and our news director will work with the reporter, and every week for 6 weeks, they will do one story about a booming business, somebody that's hiring in your community. Perhaps it's trades, perhaps it's looking at how do you get emergency service workers, etc. So we will work with our news team on that. We'll be focusing on the opportunity of our partners and our key employers. And that's where all the fun is with a campaign like this. We just don't want to stick a sticker on it and say, go to Northern Works, you're going to find a job there. We all know something like that won't work. We are going to work with you on what that content needs to be. So it's not just a static job board. It's an 8-week campaign. My apologies. During the 8-week campaign, what we do is we put out promotions during the news, not during the news, but on an on-air rotation. It's just, it will be driving people to go to Northern Works, go to where the jobs are. Stephen and I have this massive, like, because we've been talking about it for 14 months and we both love sports. During the playoffs, think about your phones. Think about every time somebody's on their iPhone and they're looking at a Blue Jays score, or they're going to be looking at, I mean, spring training is going to be coming up soon. That how much fun when you go on, when you use Bell Media, when you're on TSN looking for that sports highlights, and you see a big box there about North, you can use all of our mobile apps that are, and it's called Run of Network. And I don't want to get into all of those layers, but I know you all know about the ads that you see on your phones. We get to geo-target that. One of the things Stephen and I would love to do, we want to actually, it's called geofencing. We want to take a look at a province that has a really high rate of unemployment, but maybe it's Calgary, maybe it's Alberta, maybe it's where there was lots of employment in oil, and we can get some of those people to consider coming to move over to Northern Ontario. That's how we do it. And then we shift, then we change gears after we do the first 8-week campaign. So Stephen, can you go down, if you want to touch on the viewership, Stephen?
Yeah, I
And
can
just
touch on the
so-
viewership. Thanks,
okay.
Mandy. So basically what this is the news team will do a series based on the employment needs or driving people to the area. That also includes, and it'll be part of a tourism idea as well, promoting the tourism aspects and the uniqueness of these communities, including Hornepayne. Followed by that will be a commercial campaign running across CTV Northern Ontario programming, the whole region. So I can show you a map of that right now without, so CTV Northern Ontario News has approximately 702,000 viewers weekly, consisting of all these different communities, as you see on the map here. Some of the other areas, Wawa, Duberville is not part of that, but it is part of the viewership and the signal that we can reach into the States, into Quebec, into North Bay, which also touches on Parry Sound as well. So every week we have approximately 702,000 plus viewers that reach our channels. So it's the most popular program. CTV is #1 in Northern Ontario for many, many years. Our digital website, just again today, I found out that we have another for this year, almost 800,000 unique visitors to our website. That's new IP addresses, new people coming to the website. Monthly, we have 1.2 million people to our website alone. So that's going to drive traffic from TV to the website, to your subsite on the Northern Works program. And then we get into the digital stuff, which is very layered. But it's going to promote the opportunity of showing and highlighting the uniqueness of these Northern communities. I know it well, I've lived it, I love it, and it's time to promote it.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. Once we get to the part where we get to customize each of those buckets, they sit inside the CTV Sudbury website. Each of these 6 digital boxes, we will work with you to identify employment opportunities, housing, lifestyle, internet connection, schools, investment. So people searching all necessary information is at their fingertips. We also will provide helpful tips on how to build a resume and how to prepare for that crucial interview. And we'll even add in how to prepare, what do you wear during a Zoom meeting, for example, or a virtual meeting? What should be in your background? Those types of things to help people pivot through this ever-changing world. All participating partners will have their company logo embedded on the website with the link directly back to their hiring page or to whatever page they want back on their website. 9, please, Stephen. So the campaign investment, so in general terms, and Stephen, you can hop in here at any point. In general terms, I think that we worked it out. It's around $35,000 a flight, but with 6 municipalities participating, I believe it's 7,500. Is that correct, Stephen?
Yes, 35,000 plus the digital would be a part of that as well. So for each community that would come in would be $7,500. But what we're saying is there is other interest from the different municipalities as well, and the groups that the investment portion will remain the same no matter what. So that's something we're committed to as well. You know, working with all the different communities that want to jump in and take advantage of this unique opportunity with us.
Thank you, Stephen. Is there any questions?
Okay, I open up the floor to questions from council for Stephen or Mandi. Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, guys. Can you explain to me what a lot is again? You said it was 35,000 a lot or something?
Oh, per flight. So yeah, per flight.
Yeah.
So the $35,000 for the TV portion is per flight. So the flight would be the 8 weeks that we're going to start with the program. It's just the flight of including the TV portion as well as the digital portion to get things started for the full 8 weeks. So that's one flight, and then we're recommending to do 2 flights per year, one in this, early spring, May, June, summer, and then the fall campaign as well.
And Councillor Paroff, that includes the promotional campaign for the supporting news series. So during the 6 o'clock news, there'll be promotions during the news saying, looking for a job, go to Northern Works. So that'll be right inside the news. It'll also be the homepage takeover on the digital space. It includes 350 spots. And what spot means in our world is just 350 commercials that'll be driving people to go to Northern Works. They will be airing throughout that 8-week window. And then, of course, the setting up and the maintaining of the website, and it will include the socials as well.
Thank you very much. That explains it.
Okay, okay, great. Councillor Stefanik, you had a question as well?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I'm looking at your first paragraph. It's similar to Councillor Paroff's. It says 35,000 per flight plus applicable HST. I get it. Second or third paragraph says $10,000 per flight plus applicable. What's the difference here? You're telling me, then you talk in the next sentence something altogether. Are you saying 10,000 per flight and you buy 2 flights is 20,000? You buy 3 is 30,000? That's what you're saying to me?
No,
So what the first flight is for the top portion of 35,000 is the 350 spot commercial campaign on TV. The other 10,000 for 8 weeks, correct?
Okay, I got it.
Includes the news programming. There's no there's no value attached to that because you can't put a price on news. It's the most popular programming that we actually have, especially the 6 o'clock news. When you look at the Bell Media digital integration, so that's the digital portion of it. So we're going to have specific impressions, 300,000 impressions targeting your banners, your ads to deliver your messages. So they're going to be geo targets that you need to reach. And that for that specific flight is going to be $10,000.
So you're saying 45,000 total, that's what you're telling me,
Yes,
correct? Thank you.
you're welcome.
Is there any further questions from council? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So just to follow up with Councillor Stefanik's question of the 45,000, then that being divided by the 6 communities, that's where you get the $7,500 investment from. So it's purchasing the entire amount.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know through talking to Chantal and Tracy that there is a special fund that they're looking at funding this as well to help with the cost of that. But your portion would always remain the same. It's going to be $7,500. Doesn't matter who comes in. Like I said, we do have interest from other communities. And obviously we want to work with everybody. It's just going to make that this program that much more effective. If you can take, in comparison, the London works or the Winnipeg works, like these are major centers that are gaining access through, the different community agencies and coming together to make this work for them. This to me is something important because I know the North well, and there's a lack of, people really knowing what the North has to offer.
I just have one further question, Stephen and Mandi, about the initial investment. Throughout your presentation, you talk about Indigenous communities. Have you approached the Indigenous communities to come on as partners so that we all lower our amount?
Mayor Ford, I can speak to that, Stephen, about the one meeting that we were with Brandy. There's a young woman, and she was with a Waco twin, and we were. She was invited in, and in terms of asking for investment, I do not believe that the question was asked for investment, Mayor Fort, but the question was asked, would there be support to ensuring that we got our language and anything that needed to be identified on the Northern Works website, that we were being, that we were doing it right in terms of from an Indigenous lens. Investment though, Stephen, that was not asked, is that correct?
No, that's correct. I think initially when we had started discussing this with Melanie Pilo from the EDO of Duberville, this was way back 1.5 years ago now. And following up to that, some EDO meetings that there were some representatives from different First Nations as well. Missinabie, Chapleau Cree were some members, but there was no real discussion about them. There was some interest, but we did not, there was no further discussion with them on that end.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from Councillor? Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple. The program he was referring to twice in London, how long was that in existence, please? First question.
Councillor Stefanik, that was developed 7 years ago. It was developed on a napkin, truly, and a couple of us chatting about how do we tell people, like, there's more good news stories out there. Why are we just focused on the, honestly, it was just so much like, oh, we're got the highest rate of unemployment or the second highest rate of unemployment. How do we turn that narrative around? Like, how can we? And we just all dove in, and that was 7 years ago. And that was, and our partners in that are the London Economic Development Corporation, the City of London, Fanshawe College, and then there's a group called Workforce Training. And so we've really kept the commercial businesses away from supporting this website, because it's much more valuable to all of us in community. Because I have seen it go the other way when we had a commercial, like a company that was hiring, pay for what we're talking about today, pay for that initial investment to get a job board off the ground. And then we got into trouble really, really quickly because that company didn't like us. highlighting a competitor business in the news series. And so that was 7 years ago. We renewed twice a year. We, after our flight, we all regroup. We look at the metrics. We look at the testimonials that come in. We look at what worked, what didn't work. And one of the things that Stephen and I've been really clear about, because I've seen it go the other way. If all of your municipalities come in, then we just need to find one point person from each municipality to own their municipality, to own that pride, and then feed me the right information, right? And then there would be a team, right? Because we all know what, like I can tell you 1,000 great things about London.
Right.
So we need some people to help feed us that content, right? We're good at promotion. We know how to like really use our 776,000 people every month to our advantage. But
Right.
we ask of our partners to help us with that content. And that's where the magic is. We're all invested in it then.
Right. And my final comment or question, you touched upon it after the 8 weeks, the metrics of it. I mean, every time I invest as a person or as municipal councilor, I like to see what our money did. Do you evaluate the program, the successes, the failures? Will the council be in touch what happened for the 8-week initial investment?
So
Yeah,
based on that,
absolutely.
so based on that, I'll just touch on that here, Mandi. What I've seen from recent clients, especially on the regional scale, they've been very successful. What TV does is drive people the awareness of their townships, of who's hiring, and then that drives them to the websites of those communities or that in a retail space, drives them to their website. I had a recent client that did a regional campaign of a product. It's a different product for skincare and that type of stuff, that had done a survey on their website to find out how they heard about them. And 90% of the traffic they were getting on the website was from our CTV ad. So it's great to hear those stories. I have another client recently as well with the Fields to Forks program, that they got an amazing feedback and results and awareness from the campaign they did regionally with Fields to Forks, and they are coming back on board with us again. So those types of things with the driving the message to 700,000+ weekly drives people to the websites and whatever else, whatever content, or whether it be social media, Facebook, and the awareness of it. It paints a picture, it gives you that visualization. Like I always say, like in Duberville, I'm a very visual person. I love hunting and fishing. I love the outdoors. And TV is the only way you can paint a clear picture of a visual of people fishing with their families, having fun outdoors. It's the only way to do it.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So moving forward then, just as I'm watching, or be the next steps that you would want from us at council?
Well, I mean, there would need
Yes.
to be a decision on your end, and then what you could do is maybe reach out to the mayor's group or Chantal or Tracy that are putting the fund together to make a decision on that and to support the full campaign.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's no, I'm going to leave it to council. You have one last opportunity to ask either Stephen or Mandi questions before I close this session. Okay, I don't see any further questions. So thank you for presenting tonight. We will have further discussion about this Northern Works again. So, and Gail will be in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. Stay safe,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes, take care.
Thank you guys, and I appreciate all your time today. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so moving on with our agenda, I'm wondering if we can put this as a discussion item on our next upcoming meeting. And if there's any other background information, Gail, that you can acquire on it before that meeting, or any other things. Is there anything from council that you would like information on? I'm not seeing any. Okay, so let's move on then. We're moving on to 6.2, the Airfield rehab construction tender. Dwayne, do you want to speak to your report at all before I open up the floor to questions?
No, I'm ready for questions if you have some.
Okay, great. I open up the floor to the council for any questions. And we see the recommendation there of going with Villeneuve Construction. Sorry, I had my head down. Did anybody have any questions? Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Not a question, but a comment after reading the good report that was presented by Dwayne. I concur with his recommendation. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So we do have a motion on the floor from the recommendation of the Public Works Manager. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Stefanik, second by John Peroff. Whereas the Township of Hornepayne was a successful applicant in the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, Northern and Rural Stream for airport and runway and terminal refurbishment at the Hornepayne Municipal Airport, and subsequently hired AVIANG through a competitive process to provide design, project management, and contract administration services for the project. And whereas the township then issued a request for proposals RFP for construction services for the Airfield Rehabilitation Project. And whereas the Township of Hornepayne received 2 proposal submissions as follows: all prices exclude HST, Pioneer Construction Incorporated Pioneer in the amount of $5,036,902.50, and C. Villeneuve Construction Company Limited, Villeneuve, in the amount of $4,395,742.50. And whereas AVIANG conducted a tender analysis in conference with the Public Works Manager and the CAO clerk, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne, upon the recommendation of the Public Works Manager as outlined in the attached staff report number PW 22-03, does hereby award the construction tender for the Airfield Rehabilitation Project at Hornepayne Municipal Airport to C. Villeneuve Construction Limited of Hearst, Ontario, in the amount of $4,133,822.50 plus HST, and authorizes the CAO clerk to notify all proponents and to prepare the required documentation for signature in order that the project can proceed. Is there any further comment or discussion on the motion before I put it to a vote? Okay, seeing none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you for your hard work, Dwayne and Gail. I know it's been a long process. I'm looking forward to seeing our airport refurbished. And you can't see me, but I am smiling. Okay, so we're moving on with our presentation tonight of our municipal budget, and I invite our Client Service Manager, Treasurer, to give us our presentation. Welcome, Melissa. Are you on mute? You might be on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Great on.
Okay, so just before I get started, I just want to make sure that all of council does have a detailed expense and revenue breakdown that was provided with the agenda.
Yes, I have it. Can we just get confirmation, Councillor Paroff and Councillor Kistemaker, you both have the detailed documents? Yes, okay, great. You're good to continue, Melissa.
Okay, I'm just gonna turn off my camera, and I have the draft budget summary up on the page for public's viewing.
Okay, great.
So I'll start off with going through the changes in the revenue from 2021 to 2022. So right at the top, 1 second, please.
Okay, and just to clarify, Melissa, so you would like council to be on their 2022 draft budget of the revenues portion first?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so
Okay, so on page 1 of the revenue, at the top of the page, it says 1,200 administration. So the first 2 changes are directly related to the assessment values changing from 21 to 2022. Last year, we yield $1,837,997 from taxable assessments, and that has decreased $4,080. However, the general payment in lieu has increased $8,800. So that's some of the general levy has been flipped over into the general payment in lieu. So there was a shift of approximately 4,000 and then a little bit of increased revenue. The next portion I want to talk about is the water disconnection and reconnection, as well as the commissioning and administration. That's a little bit down on the page. Those 3 items were always budgeted in miscellaneous rents and revenues. However, I broke it out last year because we did have some changes in the user fee schedule. So that I broke those out so we can track exactly how much those were. So I put $500 in the water disconnection and reconnection, $450 in the business taxi and marriage license. We've increased that to $150 per license, so we've accounted for 3 of those. And the commissioning, I've accounted for $1,000 for commissioning. And then administration revenue is the photocopying, faxes, letters from drafted at the town hall and whatnot. So I've put $1,000 in that area as well. And then just to go up to revenue penalty and interest taxes, revenue penalty and interest water and sewer, and penalty and interest accounts receivable. I've increased all 3 of those as well because it was a little bit higher than we expected last year. I didn't put it quite as high as it was in 2021. I'm hoping that we won't have that much revenue coming in 2022 because we're going to chomp down on the collection efforts. So that was increased a little bit. So moving down to the miscellaneous rents and revenues in the fire department was increased $490, and that's because of the increase to the fire protection agreement that we have with the mill. The revenue from the transfer from reserves, that's $19,000 that is omitted because we spent the rest of our municipal modernization unconditional grant. The fire department recoverables remain the same, and then the provincial grant at the bottom, fire department, that was a one-time grant that we received last year, so we don't have that this year. Next, we see emergency management. This is the COVID relief funds that we received from the province. We did receive the whole amount in 2021. However, we didn't spend the whole amount. So we do have $36,135 to transfer into 2022. The policing expense remain the same. The revenue. The bylaw revenue remains the same. The building revenue was increased $20,000, and That's due to the new builds that we anticipate on seeing this year. Down to Public Works, the miscellaneous rents and revenues was increased $7,000, and that's due to a 2% increase in the road maintenance agreement that we have. The Canada Summer Jobs was increased 9,945, and that's due to the application that we submitted. So that's how much we are asked the Canadian government for our summer students. And there was no other changes in the Public Works Department. The Airport Department did increase the airport plug-in fees by $55, and the Jet A fuels was decreased $10,000. I also decreased the expenses $10,000 on the Jet A fuel. We don't anticipate seeing too many gas sales since our airport's going to be closed for a portion of this coming year for construction. The water bills, water and wastewater, both of those amounts, the revenue was put in from the discussions that council had last week, or a couple weeks ago, sorry. And on the wastewater, the aqua recoverable credits was added in for $54,400. So that's as per council's direction. The next portion is garbage and landfill. Miscellaneous rent and revenues was decreased to $500, and the $500 is for the sale of air filters that we currently have on site for sale. The provincial grant for $30,500 was put in there as the OMAFRA grassroots growth initiative. So that would be the grant, a 50% portion should council go with the food cycler expansion program. And then the revenue for landfill costs recoverable was increased $6,000, and that's due to revenue that we will get from the hazardous waste for recoverable material. 5,100 health and safety. The $6,670 was included in there as a shared cost with surrounding municipalities. So Gail has been working on developing the health and safety plans, and the total cost of that will be $10,000. So we will pay the $10,000 and then get bill back the other municipalities $6,670. In the cemetery department, I did exclude some of the items that were in here. The care and maintenance for plots, the care and maintenance for monuments, and the care and maintenance for columbarium niche. I removed those. Those are actually not revenue that is generated by the township. We collect those on behalf of the cemetery trust fund that have to get directly transferred. So I'm not sure why that's always been budgeted that way. So we did increase the sales though, open and closed. We increased it to $2,250, which is an increase of $1,120. The cemetery land, we increased it to $1,000, which is an increase of $600. And the sale of columbarium niches, we increased it to $2,050, an increase of $1,230. On the recreation side, we did have $3,723 in there. That's been completely removed because we did not apply for the summer experience program this year. In 7011 Town Center, there was an increase to the miscellaneous rents and revenues, which equates to $1,200, and that's because it'll be recoverable expenses from ride-out development. On the parks revenue, there was the $1,100 was left in there because that's the grant that we received from the Canadian Heritage Fund for our July 1st celebrations. On the arena side, the sale of recoverable was completely removed, as we don't normally get any funds in that account, and the arena user fees was increased to $25,000. That's an increase of $13,000. And I just wanted to highlight to council that it used to be $29,500 prior to COVID. So we're increased it, not quite as it used to be, but we're slowly getting back up there. Same goes with the curling club. I did put increased it the club rentals for this year up to 5,000. I did talk to the lead hand, and he does expect that the curling club will be curling in December of 2022. And on that note, I'd also like to council to keep in consideration how would you guys would like to go forward regarding donating funds to the curling club, if from the fitness facility, if you did want to take it from the fitness facility and put it into the curling club, or if you wanted to perhaps give the curling club 1 month free rental. So that's something under consideration for council during the budget discussions. Okay, and now on to the miscellaneous rents and revenues for canteen. That's been increased to $16,000. There's $7,800 for rent of the canteen and the storage space, and $8,200 for recoverable for propane costs. The fitness facility, the user fees was increased to $20,000, which is an increase of $10,000, and it used to be $23,000 prior to COVID. The $20,000 for transfer from reserve has been removed. Down to the library, the only change in the library is the township grant, which is reduced $6,835. I do want to mention to council that the library board is discussing increasing the hours of the CEO. So if it increases the way they are expecting, there could be a possible increase of expenses of $4,000, which subsequently would increase the township grant an additional $4,000. Down to economic development. We did plan $97,000 last year to use from the NWMO economic deferred revenue, but we only used $68,708. So there's $75,825 remaining from that fund to be used this year. The provincial grant for economic development was removed in its entirety, as we did not apply for an intern this year. And then the federal grant for economic development remained the same. I did leave it at $100,000. However, it might not be that amount depending on if we get approved or not for our extension for the EBO. There's no funding at all in the planning and development. Service Ontario was increased to $26,000. And then the next portion is new accounts that I created to make tracking and budgeting a little bit simpler. So the first one is capital and special projects for administration. So for this year, we have the new NORDS funding, and that's $139,170. So that's the funding from 2021 that will be received in 2022, as well as the 2022 funding. I have in there the OSIF formula component for $330, which is an increase in funding for this year. There is no money in capital and special projects for public works in 2022. Capital and special projects for the airport, I do have $318,344 that we will be using towards that project from our federal gas tax, as well as the remaining balance of the ISIP grant. There's no revenue for the water. And of course, the wastewater, we planned on getting that long-term loan last year for the dechlor project. However, it's been moved to this year. We won't be getting those payouts to this year. So we have that in for this year's budget to finish the dechlor project. The landfill, capital and special projects, there's $129,270 in there, and that's to cover the cost of our landfill long-range plan. The cemetery capital and special reserves have $22,520 in there. That's to cover the entire cost of a new columbarium this year. The capital and special projects for recreation, I do have 2 transfer in reserves there for council's consideration. One of them is $9,850, and that's funds to be carried over from the recreation committee should council wish to do that. And the other one is $9,465, which is funds that were set aside for the hot tub. And then for that same project, the federal gas tax would get put towards the recreation project for $57,500 for a total amount of $76,815, and that those funds would be used to relocate the ball field. Special project capital and special projects parks. I have $75,000 in there for the FedNor grant for the pavilion extension. And then $25,000 from deferred revenue of the federal gas tax for our portion of the extension, the pavilion park extension. And then the federal grants is the ISIP portion for the ISIP grant for the pavilion rehabilitation. So in 2021, we spent $69,094. So there's $28,510 remaining for 2022 to complete that project. Capital and special projects for arena. The provincial and federal grant is the ISIP portion to begin the arena for the design and project management. And then the second portion of that is NOHFC funding, which is our portion of the airport arena for 2021 for a total amount of, for 2022, a total amount for 2022 is $361,100. Next, we have the capital special projects planning and development. The first amount that we have is transfer from reserve of $39,500, and that's for the community improvement plan. The second line transfer from reserve is $75,000, and that's for the RED project. And then, of course, we have the RED grant at $75,000, so that's 50% of the project. The next line, we have $13,526. That's for the municipal energy plan, our remaining portion of that grant. And then underneath that is the actual amount of the grant that's remaining for that program is $6,290. The next line, inclusion community grant, is $45,000, and that's for an age-friendly community needs assessment and action plan. The next one is the municipal climate resilient grant, which is $54,000, and that's 100% funded application for floodplain mapping. The next portion is the FCM grant for $50,000, and that's for our asset management plan. And then our portion of the asset management plan next steps is $5,555. So down to the next portion for capitals and special project service delivery review. So there, we do have our portion of the municipal modernization intake 2 for our remaining, for the digital modernization. Our portion of that grant is $40,510, which will be transferred from reserve. The remaining balance that we carry over from 2021 to 2022 from the money we did receive is $267, as we received $42,534 in 2021, and that's our remaining balance that we haven't spent. And then the remaining portion of the municipal modernization intake 2 for intake 2 in 2022 is $78,991. So those three portions at the beginning are for all of the digital modernization. And then the final one on that line is the municipal modernization intake 3. And it's been approved for $40,705, and that's 100% funded for the comprehensive user fee study. And then the last portion of the revenue is the education portion that's regulated by the ministry. So those amounts have been calculated based on the rates that have been provided. And the total amount that required for in revenue in 2022 is $12,273 and $514. Is there any questions before we move on to the expenses?
I do have one question, Melissa, just when you said the total amount, could you give me the total amount again? I missed that.
$12,273,514.
Okay, I don't have that number on my sheet. My sheet's different. I have $12,273 and $194.
190.
Am I looking at something wrong here? We're at page 3, the second last column.
That's what I'm actually looking at the computer. So yeah, that is what I have in my paper too. I'm gonna have to review that number.
Okay, no problem. Just I was
194.
okay. Well, we can figure out what that is. It's a matter of a few $100s. It's looking like, but
I'll take a look at that in the morning and get back to you on what that amount is.
Yeah, no problem, Melissa.
Okay.
I open up the floor now to questions on the revenue portion of Melissa's presentation for council. No questions right now. I do have a couple of questions, Melissa.
Yep.
For the cemetery increases, did our cemetery board meet and have they met and talked about those increases?
No, we just based the revenue on 5 in-ground burials and 4 niche sales, I believe. There's no increase in the funding, it was just increase in the sales. I mean, no increase in the actual prices, just increase in the sales.
Okay, great. That was my follow-up question because I was concerned that initially it almost looked like to me that we were doubling the price. And I wanted to know what the cemetery board had to say about that. Okay, so it's not, you've just increased the amount of burials, which increased the revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, not great in the sense of that, but in understanding. The EDO extension, so if I understand correctly, in the budget, the $100,000 includes the amounts that we've applied for if we're successful?
Yeah, so it would
Okay.
include our current amount up until July, and then the remaining amount would come from the second portion of the EDO's extension.
Okay, great. And the other thing was for the ball field relocation, for council consideration for using the hot tub funds and the different recreation committee funds, and the total coming to 76,800 plus. Where were we looking at taking those funds before? Because in my memory, I thought we were using some of the land sale funds.
I would have to defer that to Gail. I don't have any recollection of using any land sale funds at all.
Okay,
I don't particularly recall that either. I thought we had set aside 70,000 from, I think it was federal gas tax, was it not, Melissa?
Yeah, that's what I have. Well, we had said 57,000 from the federal gas tax, but then we thought that that wouldn't be enough when we
Yeah.
actually started crunching the numbers.
So, no, I don't remember about the land sales either.
okay, I'm concerned that we're doing upgrades to our facilities. We've got a huge amount of money going into our arena, that this would be the time where the recreation committee funds and the hot tub funds could go into something more tangible, and it may be just switching pots basically, but I'd be concerned about using funds to relocate our ball field that people fundraised for other things, and now they're going to be used for services that they already have in a relocation effort. That's my concern about that. But I'll put that in writing as well, Melissa, for the emails.
Yep.
So is there any other further comments for Melissa at this time, or clarification on any numbers? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Great job, Melissa. I have to say, this is such a tremendous improvement over the course of the years that I've been on council. And I'm sure Councillor Stefanik can reiterate back even further. Not to age you, Drago, that's not what my intention there at all. But yeah, you can continue on, Melissa, to your second portion. So would you like council now to go to the draft budget detailed expenses?
Yes, please. I'm just going to make sure that my spreadsheet matches with the hard copy.
Okay.
Oh,
Every-
yeah, it matches.
Yeah, as I was following along, Melissa, everything else seemed to match, like right dead on. So it must be just one of the other numbers that you didn't touch on.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the administration department, I did change some of the salary and wages. So I did include 6 months of salary for a new hire for the CAO clerk. I did mention last time we went through the budget that the insurance will be redistributed throughout the rest of the budget once all of those amounts are calculated. I did add in the water and wastewater as per council's direction. The advertising and public relations, I increased it to $10,000, and I added $7,000 in there for a CEO clerk job advertising. The postage, I increased $1,000, and that's just due to historical numbers. There's a little bit more required in that department. The legal was decreased to $20,000, which is a decrease of $8,000. The audit was increased to $30,000, or sorry, decreased to $30,000, which is a decrease of $500. Interest and service charges was increased to $10,000, which is an increase of $3,000. Subscriptions for administration was increased to $10,000. Repair and maintenance building was decreased to $5,000 from $10,000. And computer maintenance upgrades for admin was increased to $20,000. It's an increase of $8,000. And I just wanted to bring it to council's attention that we do have lots of things that would go into computer maintenance upgrades coming up in future years, but those amounts are going to be covered by the municipal modernization funding this year. So we can anticipate that those expenses will be increased in the coming years. And then MPAC was increased decreased $415 as per their notification to us. The council portion was the advertising and public relations was increased $25,000. And I do apologize. I did add $10,000 in there for the Northern Works, but after hearing the presentation tonight, it's only would be $7,500. I just I guess I was confused as Drago was. I thought it was either the 35,000 or the 10,000. So I put the lower amount in there. So that can be decreased $2,500 for Northern Works. And then I added a $10,000 donation to Contact North for the Regional Training Center initiative in there as well. And then elections, orientation, and training, I added $25,000 in there. So that's 15 to, Gil's mentioned that it would be $15,000 to $20,000 for the actual election, and then $10,000 for orientation training. For Olive Council and the mayor, I increased everybody's traveling training back to the amounts that it was prior to COVID. And that was as per council's direction at our last meeting. Down to fire department, the salary and wages for honorarium has been decreased by 18,620, and that's because there was additional money in there for the fire chief for 2 years, so that's no longer applicable going into 2022, and the honorariums are increased 1.5% each year, so that reflects that amount. WSIB was decreased $95. The insurance, of course, has been removed and it's in the admin department for now. Travel and training and professional development has been increased $5,000. And the fire chief tells me that the fire college is now closed, and it used to cost them $1,500 per week to send somebody for training, and now it's going to be costing them $4,500 per week, and they're looking at sending firemen out to come back and so they can train the trainer, and then they can qualify firefighters in-house. The next portion is repair and maintenance building. So that's $50,000 included in there for repairs to the fire halls. And then repair, maintenance and vehicle, it's been reduced to $6,000. So last year it was just shifted a little bit, an increase to $11,000 for the information that the repairs that they did on their equipment. 2010 emergency management. Like I said, on the revenue side, there's $36,135 available in the funding that we received from the province for COVID. So that's been distributed out throughout these 4 accounts for a total of $36,135. The policing expense has been increased $984 to $193.49. Bylaw salary and wages has been removed from the budget, and materials and advertisement have been. There is no change to those expenses are related to our building inspector. The public works department salary and benefits have all been increased as per the salary grid, as well as the QP agreement. Water and wastewater have also been added into the public works department. Down to public works standard, that was this repair and maintenance has been decreased to $13,000, which is a decrease of $5,300. The next change we see is in 3012, which is the backhoe. The repair and maintenance was $20,000, and it's been decreased to $15,000, a decrease of $5,000. Next, we go on to 3018, the loader. The repair and maintenance for the loader was set at $14,700. It's been increased to $20,000, which is an increase of $5,300. The excavator, the repair and maintenance last year was set at 3,230, and it's been decreased to 3,000, which is a decrease of 3,230. And then bridges and culverts. We had not bought any culverts in 2021, so we had a lot of the shifting for the other portions of the budget was shifted into other departments, came from the culvert. So we put back in the $15,000 for culverts in 2022. The next change you'll see is in 3036, which is dust control. In 2021, we budgeted $12,000, and then in 2022, we budgeted $24,000. The public works manager has indicated that he wants to do more dusting on other roads rather than just Becker Road in 2022. Signs and guardrails, we seem to be purchasing quite a few of those in 2021. However, we did decrease it $650 in 2022. We think that that would be sufficient amount of money for this year. Next down is 3,700, which is the airport. All of the wages and benefits are currently budgeted in the public works and will be distributed appropriately. The water and wastewater expenses have been included in this department as well. The Jet A fuel purchase has been decreased $10,000. Like I said, on the revenue side, that's also been decreased $10,000, so it's been decreased proportionately. The next one is airport plow and buckets, 3,777. The materials and supplies have been decreased $500, and the repair, maintenance, and equipment has been decreased $1,000. On the water and wastewater, you'll see the operating expenses in these two amounts, and we've discussed those at prior council meetings, so they've been transposed here. The only things that's missing in these two accounts is the long-term principal, as well as the transfer to reserve, so they're in the capital budget. The next one is the long-term debt management. So that's the interest for all of our long-term debt or long-term loans. Garbage and landfill, the salary and benefits are included in the public works and will be distributed into this department. Advertising and public relations has been increased to $20,000. That's an increase of $3,000, and that's directly related to the hazardous waste day. I also included the Food Cycler Initiative, which is $61,600 for 1 year, and that's you saw on the revenue side, $31,500 would be the municipal portion. So this is the total expense for that. And next we have the 4107, which is the compactor for the landfill. There was $33,000 in the repair and maintenance last year, and that's been decreased to $5,000 this year, so a decrease of $28,000. Health and safety, 911 dispatch service was set last year at $2,900. It's been decreased to $2,000 this year, which is a decrease of $900. The cemetery, the salary and benefits would be again included in the public works department and will be transferred here if necessary. The materials and supplies has been increased to $1,600, which is $1,000 increase, and subsequently the travel and training has been decreased to $1,000, which just been shifted up to the materials and supplies. ADSAB, I increased it $1,465. I hadn't received any information from ADSAB. However, just before the council meeting tonight, Belinda messaged me. They had a meeting and it did go down. I believe she said around $400. So that will be changed to reflect the actual. The Recreation Department, interest service charges has been, there was always $250 put in there, but we've now been charging those interest and service charges to the administration, as the Recreation Department, or the Administration Department is now does the banking, so those don't go in there anymore, so that's been removed. The town center, for 2021, I just want to highlight to council that we did receive a hydro bill. It was for, we've received one since, so I believe it was around 10,000. It was $10,112. So that's the total amount that we owe for the LCBO. So we hadn't been charged since we took over. So that's the LCBO electricity for 2020 to 2022. And now they've closed the account and we owe $75 additional dollars. And then I have material and supplies, as well as repair and maintenance building, for a total amount of $1,200, which will be recoverable from the investor. Parks and 1713, materials and supplies have been increased $1,000, and that's to account for some fireworks that we want to purchase for July 1st, our portion of the grant, of course. And advertising and public relations was decreased $500 to match with the actuals from 2021. And then the Center of Ontario Parks, we did budget $20,000 last year. However, this year it's been decreased to $5,000. And as you can see, we've already spent $4,070 to do further surveys out at the Center of Ontario Trail. Down to Arena, 7014. The wages and benefits have been increased as per the QP agreement. The water and wastewater have been added into this as well, into this department. Oh, sorry, I skipped electricity. Electricity has been increased $5,000 to $30,000. And at the bottom, repair and maintenance, there was $20,000 in there last year. We put in $10,000 this year. We figured that $10,000 would be adequate since we were doing some major renovations on that building. So we wouldn't want to invest too much going forward in 2022. The curling club, water and wastewater has been added to that department. Next, the canteen, propane, furniture and equipment has been decreased to $1,000, an $1,100 decrease. Materials and supplies remain the same. Repair and maintenance building was increased to $5,000, an increase of $1,200. Repair and maintenance equipment was decreased to $1,000, which was a decrease of $100. And then propane was increased $2,200 to $8,200, which is coincides on the revenue side for our recoverable. The fitness facility, furniture and equipment was decreased from $20,000 to $10,000. Electricity, again, has been increased $5,000 to coincide with the increases that we saw in 2021. On the library side, the salaries and wages have been increased due to their QP agreement, as well as the salary grid. The insurance, again, will be distributed into this department once we get there. And the annual requisition from the township has decreased $6,835. I just want to go back up to the salary and wages for the library. There was a slight decrease in the salary and wages, and that's because last year we budgeted for the increase in the QP as well as the retro. So this year that was removed. So down to the economic development officer, the salary and benefits have been decreased. Just down to one staff, the intern has been removed out of there. Materials and supplies was increased $400, and the memberships was increased $1,100 or $1,100 to $1,900. And then professional services was removed out of that department and moved into 7,600, which you can see in 2021 is the actual amounts that are highlighted in yellow. In 2022, those amounts have already been paid to the MSC, and that's the only expense that we will have for the Municipal Service Corp in 2022. And in planning and development, there was no money in here. It was all in the special projects. However, this year we've put in $500 for materials and supplies, and that was to account for mail-outs. There was the $6,197 that we spent in 2022 was the paper that we procured to from Hearst, I believe it was, for fiber to the home, as well as various mailouts. And then the software planning and development that has been moved from the administration department down to planning and development, which is the GIS system. Service Ontario, there's no change to that department, and the wages and benefits are currently budgeted in the admin department. So down to capital and special projects for administration. I did budget to defer revenue for the OSA formula component as well as the NORDS for 2022. So there'll be $439,200 that will be transferred to deferred revenue to be used for future years. The capital and special projects for the Public Works Department includes long-term loan payments for a rolling stock, the sander, and short-term loan for the truck. And there's been $40,000 that was removed that was budgeted last year to purchase a float for the excavator. Capital and special projects for airport, that's the total remaining balance of the airport project for with our ISIP funding. Capital and special projects for water, the long-term loan payment for the wastewater plant, $30,710, and then transfer to the water reserve for $34,890. Capital special projects for wastewater. So the long-term loan payment for the wastewater treatment plant portion is $16,620. Long-term loan payment for the dechlor projects is $41,500, and then transfer to wastewater reserve $20,070. And then engineering for the wastewater project is $939,593, which is the remaining portion of the dechlor project. Capital and special projects for landfill is $129,270. That's the remaining portion of the long-term landfill report. Capital and special project cemetery is $22,250 to purchase a new columbarium. Capital and special projects for recreation is $76,810, and that's to relocate the ball fields. Capital and special projects for parks is $100,000 for the FedNor project, and then $28,510 the remaining portion of the Pavilion Park for the ISIP project. The capital and special projects arena, $361,100 is design and project management for beginning the arena project. Capital and special projects planning and development. There's $19,850 left in the municipal energy plan. 150,000 for the RED project, $45,000 for the community age-friendly community needs assessment and action plan, 39,500 for the community improvement plan, 55,000 for the floodplain study, and $55,555 for asset management. So down to capital and special projects for the service delivery review. So we have in 2021 deferred revenue $2,267 to be transferred into 2022. We have 50,000 for furniture and equipment and 50,000 for materials and supplies, as well as $22,178. That's all for the digital modernization, the municipal modernization intake 2, and then $40,705 for the municipal modernization intake 3, which is our comprehensive user fee study. And then the bottom portion is education. So that's for 4 payments to the four payments during the year to all 4 school boards from the money that we collect on their behalf, which equals $87,270 for total expense for 2022 for $12,506,318.
Okay, thank you, Melissa, for your draft report on the expenses. And I open up the floor for council questions or comments to Melissa at this time on the expense portion of the presentation. Okay, I'm not seeing anything from council at this time. I just have a couple of questions, Melissa. We're decreasing the amount of expense to the lawyer by $8,000 for this year. And I was just wondering what was the rationale behind that?
Because that's, we budgeted $28,000 last year, but there was only $19,000 that was spent.
Okay, so $19,000 was spent on our regular like fees in a year. I'm just concerned that this year we may have extra expenses because we'll be hiring a new CAO. Was that taken into account?
No, I hadn't taken that into account.
And yeah, I that was my only thought, was we may have some extra negotiation there.
Okay.
The other part was the computers. I'm not sure if I got the right category or not. I was just thinking, have we taken into account that we'll have new council and that possibly we'll need new iPads and that sort of thing for new council?
So that would go into materials and supplies council. So I'll jot that down.
Okay. And just when we were talking about elections, just noticing that we just budgeted an election year. I'm wondering, in the other communities, do they budget each year and have an election reserve set aside? So, because that would be a significant amount of money if it was really a tight year for council.
Yeah, I know we've discussed that in the past, and we've said that we were going to do it, but it's we've never really budgeted for it. I guess during 4 years it would be more appropriate to budget a quarter each year to spend on the 4th year.
Okay, can we just put a note in for that, maybe for our planning, because we have that planning meeting to give suggestions to the new council?
Yep.
Maybe we'll note that there for them. The fire department, you had indicated that the fire chief had said there was an increase due to the fire college being closed, but then said that we would be able to do some training at home after they were trained. So is there an initial like big budget item, but then we can do the training at home after that?
That was my understanding after speaking to the fire chief. Maybe Gail could shine a little bit more light on that because she did take a webinar with the fire chief.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what it is to send them, like the fire college provided a really cheap rate actually to it would house them and feed them and train them for a small, relatively small portion of money. And now we have to go to, when we send them, right now the closest regional center is North Bay. And then you're looking at your mileage, your accommodation, your meals, plus your training. So that's where the added expense comes in. So probably just to send 2 or 3 people is going to be quite pricey, you know, sort of similar to what we pay when we go out to conferences.
Okay, but is my understanding though, is that we can send, say 2 to get trained and then they can come back and train people here?
Yes. Yep.
So we don't, it's not, so once we have a few of people trained up, our expenses should go right down?
Yes, I would say so, yes. Like for
Okay.
future years, yes.
Yes, yes. I'm just wondering if we can have some sort of, my concern about that is that the firefighters that do get the training, that there's some commitment to our community and the training that they would be able to provide back. And I'm not sure, I leave that to your expertise on how we make that happen behind the scenes. That's not obviously our job here at council, but just so that we're spending taxpayers' money wisely.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, right on. The other question I had, Melissa, was I was in conversations with both the OCF in consultation, and I was talking actually to another mayor this week, and they are possibly thinking about putting rolling stock in with the OCF funding.
Oh.
And I was thinking particularly about our fire truck. And I was wondering, I wanted to know your comments on that while we're on the fire department.
I've actually haven't heard anything like that. The OCF component right now is for water and wastewater and roads only. So that'd be great if they expanded it to rolling stock for sure.
Okay, so that would be a good thing. I wasn't sure. I didn't give any comment on it. And I wanted to hear your opinion first. Okay, great. And the last portion that I just wanted to touch on was the signs. And this comes just from personal experience in our community just recently. We're gonna have this new hotel, and I was driving down Front Street and there was 5 snowmobiles. And I'm concerned that we should work with the snow bears and get some really good signage in our community to ensure safety of our residents and the snowmobilers to guide them through. They went right down Front Street, up 3rd Ave, and I was at the gas station. They were going up to get food up at Mama B's. So I was concerned that there could be some safety issues there. So in the signage, I'm not sure if how we want to work that. It could go also into our community improvement planning of having some sort of grant portion for organizations for signage or something of that effect. It's just, I see with the hotel coming to fruition, we're going to have a lot more snowmobilers in our community, and we need to prepare for it ahead of time.
Okay.
Those are my comments on just comments and questions. I won't be putting those in email. Any other further questions or comments or clarifications at this time from council for Melissa on the expense portion? Okay, I'm not seeing anything else. Melissa, I'll hand it over. Or is that, what are our next? Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that I did send out the 2 emails today in regard to the budget, so you council can see the impact that this budget has on the reserves, the reserve funds, as well as the deferred revenue. So I've highlighted all of those for council when you're drafting your questions and for next council deliberations, as well as I did send an information in regards to the municipal levy and then some items that council might want to take into consideration when deliberating at the next council meeting. So I'll leave those in your hands and for your guys' input, and that's about it for the municipal budget.
Okay, so great, great presentation, Melissa, very thorough. So just to reiterate what you said for council. So council, you received 2 further emails today. One was the talking about the municipal levy and the supplementary information. Those were the 2 that you were referring to, Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can use those pieces of information along with this presentation for your comments submitted through email. And what date is the email closing, Melissa?
It'll be next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, so that would be the 2nd?
I'm gonna just check out my, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. And for the sake of our residents and people that may view this meeting in the next coming days, that is also open up for residents as well to submit comment.
So it'll close on March 2nd at 4 p.m.
Okay, March 2nd at 4 p.m. Thank you for that. Melissa, do you have any further things that you'd like to say before I close this part of our council meeting?
No, I just wanted to clarify, I did send an email today, a memo to council, which was supplementary information for the water and wastewater rates. So that's for council's discussion tonight. We do have further deliberations on the water and wastewater. So that's, I sent 3 emails. I just don't want that one to get mixed in with the one for tonight.
Okay, right. We're coming to that. Sorry, that was my mistake when I was reading the emails. So council, you have 2 emails in reference to the budget, and that was the municipal levy and the reserve funds and deferred revenues. Do I have that right now, Melissa?
That's correct.
Okay, good. And then we'll be coming on to the memo. Okay, so if there's no further comments or questions from council, we're going to move on to 6.4, and we'll continue our budget discussions at our next meeting. Okay, moving on. 6.4, council deliberations on 2022 water and sewer rates. And Melissa, would you like to speak to the memo or to your report? Can you hear me, Gail?
Yes, I'm just checking. It looks like she got booted off. Just 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, she'll just sign back in. Yeah, she just texted me. Oh, she said she left the meeting by accident. You know what I bet happened when she stopped sharing her screen? She probably pressed the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, everyone. So that's all right.
There she is.
Hello, Melissa. Welcome back. I was just moving on to 6.4 and saying that if you'd like to speak to your report or the memo before I open up the floor for deliberations.
Sorry about that. I went to go to stop sharing my screen and I totally X'd right out.
Yeah, no problem.
No, I don't have anything further to add at this time.
I was thinking we weren't that rough on you. Where did you go? Okay, so I open up the floor then. Melissa doesn't have any further comments. She's got her 2 reports there for discussion. So we have a decision to make. And first of all, I'll open up the floor for discussions on, we'll start with the water and sewer bylaw considerations. Is there any comments or questions on that? I have one clarification, Melissa, for the vacancy discount. When I was looking at the water and wastewater rate study, my understanding was it wasn't for the multi-resident units, that it was more for when people were shutting their water off and on. Like I could see it if they owned a property and it was a single dwelling house. But I wasn't, I had a different understanding of that. I thought it was when someone would like say went to Florida for the winter sort of thing.
I don't know how that would actually play out, because what happens in an instance when we cut off somebody for accounts that's not paid? So then they owe a bunch of money, we cut it off, and then what if they never pay it? Like, well, do we continue to charge them 50%, or like, I think that we would need some more guidance and some more specification if we were going to do it for everybody in the community.
Okay, because that was my understanding from the rate study, was that everyone's residential water rate would have an amount. Once you're hooked up, you pay a certain amount. You can't just disconnect your water, reconnect your water, and then pay nothing in those interims. That's not what the rate was saying, the study was saying?
That wasn't my understanding of it. Gail, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's probably true as well, but that's not what the discussion was about, because we don't really get requests from single dwelling owners. It's more multi-res owners when they don't have their rentals. I don't know that we've ever had one for a home, maybe once since I've been here that I can recall. So the discussion with Watson wasn't really around the single dwelling homes.
Okay. So basically the rollout of this would be like, if we were to take recommendation, the vacancy rate, the vacancy rebate, any of our multi-resident units would basically see a 50% increase to what they have right now. Because right now they can notify us and tell us that they don't have a tenant and they get that month for free, right? Like I'm just concerned that that's a huge increase just overnight. Like I have no problem implementing something, but that's more graduated where business owners can, or in this case, property owners can manage. I open the floor for discussion from council on the vacancy rebate. Councillor Paroff, go ahead. I think you're on mute, John. I can't hear you yet, John. If you are speaking, I don't know if anyone else can hear John. No? Okay.
Your mic shows that it's on, but we can't hear you.
Okay, we'll let you try and figure that out. Was there other discussion from council? Councillor Kistemaker, go ahead.
I've been part of the water bill situation where it affects the apartment building if they don't have an opportunity to say how many units are being used and not being used. I hate to change that. And when it came to the vacancy discount, what you were talking about, Cheryl, that's the way I was taking it as well. So I misunderstood that whole thing too.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I in our discussions, that's why I got the report again to look at it, was I think it is a great idea that you hook up to water, you should be paying a minimum rate. You're getting a service regardless if you're using the water or not. That it shouldn't just be allowed disconnect, reconnect. In this case with multi-res, they are hooked up to the water. They are using the water. It's that they're not using it to the full capacity because they have nobody in that unit. So I do see that we could leverage that in some way, but I think it would be a huge increase overnight. Councillor Paroff, did you get your mic working? Councillor Stefanik, did you have comment?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mayor. In respect to that, so what's your thought idea then that to go back to the treasurer and to revisit the numbers then, Mayor?
Yeah, I think, well, it would be discussion up to council, right? Oh, I think John's taken, did John go
Okay.
off? John left?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
left, yeah.
just wanted to hear discussion from council on that, of where it was at, because I had a well, two of us had interpreted things differently. And John, just for so that you know that you're in this conversation as well, that Councillor Stefanik said, would it be that to bring it back to the treasurer to look at this again, look at the numbers again. So that's the discussion here.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
And the other comment is in the increase rate of 2.54%. We discussed it in depth last meeting and spent tremendous amount of time. And I think we all agree to that number. So I just the double agree on that number, 2.54%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Stefanik. Councillor Paroff, did you get your microphone to work?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. And I gave a thumbs up, but no one can see me. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
Yeah, I was going to comment on the on a rebate for the water, the vacancy discount. And I was just, I'm concerned because if somebody rents an apartment for half a month or whatever, how does that play into it? And how do we know if it's rented or not? That was my initial comment.
I'm not sure. I'll have to defer that to Gail or Melissa, the way that this all plays out right now.
It's actually based on an honor system. So the owner would notify us that it's vacant, and they would have to notify us in writing by the last business day of every month if they had a vacancy in their multi-residential unit.
Yeah, and I don't think we've had any issues, any suspicions or anything that anything was askew of that. Do we, Melissa?
Well, if they don't notify us, we charge them at full rate because we don't know any better. Like we wouldn't know to charge them any differently.
Okay, and we don't back pay or anything like that. Like they have to notify us to get the rebate.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's move down. Any further discussion or comment on the vacancy rebate? Okay, the next, go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker.
I just don't think we're ready for this vacancy discount. Like when you talk about how do you being on the honor system and all that, like I can just see a lot more headaches. I don't know. I think it should be looked at a little bit more.
Okay. And when you say looked at a little bit more, what kind of investigation are you thinking of?
Well, would that be something where if we had a bylaw officer actually in town checking up on things, or if we had like water meters, would it be easier to monitor? I don't know, like say someone just decided to open up their home to someone who was passing through or something, and I don't know, I can just see a lot of headaches and a lot of questioning right now. I don't know, I don't think we're actually ready for it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Kistemaker. Councillor Paroff, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just I kind of agree with Belinda's comments there. It's we'd really have to think about how it's going to play out. I don't know if we have the tools right now to really manage that properly.
Go ahead, Gail.
I was just wondering then, is that meaning council's sort of wanting to leave it the same for now? Like not touch it, just leave it the way it is?
I think that's where council's at right now. Yeah. Melissa, go ahead.
So I just wanted to comment on Belinda and John's comment. So you say that we're not there right now and we wouldn't know how to manage it. Well, right now we manage it at 100% discount. So all the difference would be is 50% discount rather than 100. So we're leaving it at status quo at 100% discount.
Yeah, I think the difference, maybe I just want clarification from councillors, but I think when we're talking about managing, we're going to switch up the way that it's done for the multi-res in this year, which could cause a lot of grief to the staff. And I don't know if that's necessarily what we would want to do this year for staff all around. We have a lot going on and I wouldn't want to create extra havoc. And I know for myself, I will not support a 50%, just cutting it 50%, because that's a huge amount overnight. But I open up the floor. Councillor Stefanik, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a great answer by the treasurer. I mean, now we know what's going on. It just changing numbers. So it's not a new system for her. She'd be doing it all along, just from 50% to 100 to 50. But I mean, listen to everybody else. Let's just leave it status quo, and we live for a new council when they get on, make a decision next year's budget in 2023. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Councillor Paroff and Councillor Kistemaker, was that your, my interpretation of your comments of managing, it was more managing the fallout of changing the program currently? Is that where you were going with your comments?
Sort of. Yeah, I would prefer not to, I'd prefer to think about it more. I'd like to defer it actually until let next council worry about it.
Okay. Councillor Kistemaker?
I'm the same with John. This has to be looked at a little bit more. I think there's a lot more that has to be looked at the water and wastewater. When it comes to the water and wastewater and the study that we just had, I think there's a lot more we have to look at going forward. The whole thing doesn't feel right to me.
Okay, so we'll defer the discussion for that of the vacancy rebate. to next council for their deliberations on budget. The next portion of the report is about the hotel, motel, water and sewer rate, implementation for the unit rates. I open up the floor for discussion. One question I do have for either the CAO or the treasurer, in discussion with the investors for the hotel, were they given current rates for their budgeting purposes?
Yes, they were. They were given all of our current rates for taxes and water and sewer.
Okay. And by going with the recommendation to increase the rate unit to 0.98 SDE, how much does that increase that rate that they were originally given? Do we know that?
Melissa, you'll have to take that one. It's a fair amount though.
Okay, that's,
No, I'm not sure the rate that was provided. I am assuming that it was just the bylaw schedule.
Yes, that's correct. It's probably in his, if we'd look back in his pro forma, he's probably got it listed in there somewhere.
okay. I open the floor to discussion for council before I give my comments on this. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
Yeah, through you. Yeah, a few comments actually. I think we should look at historically what the Hallmark Hotels Limited were paying when they got on board, when the facility opened, number one, because you want to compare apples and apples, not what they were paying before they shut down and declared bankruptcy. I think that's what we should look at, that number first, to give me some benchmark what new businesses are afforded. Are they given a special rate or a special break? Or do we jump in with a major increase? I'd like to see that, number one. And number two, I'd like to see some solid numbers, as you said, Mayor. I want to see the increase in dollars, not in percentages. Did it increase by $5,000? Did it increase by $3,000? I really want to see those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Any other comments from council? I want to, my comments, Melissa, is first of all, I applaud you in going through the rates and trying to make them more fair. My concerns are that we have readily attracted an investor on different rates, and I wouldn't want our municipality to, and this comes back to where we definitely need those long-term planning dollars, the 5-year financial forecasts and all of that, so that we can show investors where. Councillor Paroff, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just get clarification? I'm looking at page 5 on the first number 1 there. Other SDEs based on commercial rate, 50% 0.70 SDE. So that's 50% occupancy of the hotel. Is that correct? Is
Yes, that's
70% in SDE? Okay. So if it's 95%, it's 1.33 of what a normal house would pay. That's correct?
Of what a commercial business would pay.
Yeah, that sounds. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Thank you, Councillor Paroff. Okay, so I think moving forward, then we do need to do any of these implementations on the hotel, motel, water and sewer rate. council would definitely like to see the actual increases in dollar values to be able to see the rollout of how that would affect the business. And is there any other items that council would like to see? Any other comparison items? And is this something that needs to be done immediately? Oh, go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
So in regards to numbers, you want to see concrete numbers and an increase to what exactly? We don't have a hotel motel rate to be able to show what the increase would be.
Well, I think it's going back to what was given to the investors originally. What their interpretation of how because they use numbers to invest in our community. And those numbers, if we are going to establish, say, the 0.98 SDE rate, what that increase or different, or if it even is an increase, I don't know. That's the thing that we don't know. Does that
Okay,
make
and yeah, and I just what about the rate for the other two accommodations that I had mentioned in my report? Do we just carry on as the way we've been doing it?
I'll come back to you on that one, Melissa, when we finish our discussion. Councillor Kistamay.
Those figures should be part of their business plan. Do we have a copy of that, or?
Yes, I believe we do. That was what Gail was talking about, was the pro forma. It was pretty detailed, so it should be in there. Okay, and then Melissa had a question about the other accommodations in the report. And do we want so it's talking about eliminating the daily provisions. So my recommendation would be to have the same information that we're getting for the hotel with the cost we have if we were to implement the rate and unit rates for those properties, what the difference would be from what they're currently at in dollar amounts, please. Melissa, are you still there?
Yeah, I was just jotting it down.
Okay, great. Okay, so does that give enough clarification? Or do you need any further clarification or any other?
That's good. Yeah.
That work? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Council, is that satisfactory?
I concur. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Thank you, Councillor Kistemaker and Councillor Paroff. Okay, so we're going to move on.
I'm just.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
just in some direction in regards to the aqua credits.
Oh yeah, I'm not done. I was going to that, Melissa.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, so moving on now, you received the memo today about the aqua credits from 2021. And there's a few options there for us. I open up the floor for discussion. Or Melissa, did you want to speak to your memo before I open up the floor to discussion?
No, I don't think I have anything further to add to that. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Stefanik, go ahead.
I agree 100% with the report, which goes to the reserves of 2022 for the water reserve and wastewater reserve. It makes sense to me because we need much more money down the road for waterworks system in Hornepayne. I'm very certain of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Stefanik. So you're talking about number one, making the option number 1 to transfer the entire amount to water reserve. Okay. Councillor Paroff, go ahead.
I'm thinking towards option number 2 myself. It wouldn't change the rate, I understand, but I prefer option number 2 myself.
Okay, so option number 2, that's transferring towards the budget to be transferred to the water reserve. And then we can decide at budget what it would decrease the amount that it could decrease the amount that would be on our levy. Councillor Stefanik, I'm seeing you may be changing to option number 2.
No, just the opposite. My big fear is
Okay.
let me, if I could finish, let's decrease it. And 3 years from now, we're gonna put it 8% when we really need the monies to keep our infrastructure intact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Okay, I really, first of all, I want to say thank you, Melissa, for your report because it's thorough and I like the 4 options. And I even like that you included option number 4 to defer them right into the 2023 water budget. I do want to reiterate what Councillor Stefanik said earlier in the meeting, that we deliberated quite at length to get the 2.5% increase of water and sewer rates, and we decided that already. So I would like to just see that stay and not move. I am in option number 1 or option number 2 for me is open, because option number 1, of course, we need monies in the reserve, but I believe we have already transferred to the reserve, correct? Yes, it's on here, the 54,000. That's already been in the draft budget, correct?
Yeah,
So, yeah, so we've already made a substantial, and that's on, just to reiterate what we had talked about, I can't quite remember, that fits right in with what the rate study said, right?
That's the amount that's generated from the township owned facilities right into reserve.
Okay, okay. And so I put it out there for council for works. And even if we were to go with number 2, we could have further discussion at budget as well. Councillor Kistemaker, do you have any comment?
I think I want to go with number 2.
Number 2, okay.
And again, we can discuss it further in the next meeting, right?
Yeah, because it would be transferred into, it would lower the amount, the impact on our municipal levy. It would not impact the water sewer rates. We've already discussed that. It would, the impact would be to the municipal levy.
Okay.
So we could transfer, those funds to be budgeted in with our budget amounts. And we could either do the decrease or we could do other things in our budget.
I like to.
Okay. So there is some consensus on that, on item number 2, to give direction to the treasurer. Consensus of number 2. Or I shouldn't say consensus, I should say majority of, sorry, Councillor Stefanik. I wasn't trying to include you in a consensus. Okay, so moving on then. Melissa, do you have any other needs or questions for us now before we accept your report?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And if I can get a mover and a seconder to acknowledge receipt of the report. Moved by John Paroff, seconded by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby acknowledge receipt of staff report number CSMT 2022-05, 2022 water and wastewater rates by bylaw considerations as prepared by Melissa Chenier, Client Services Manager, Treasurer. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to item number 7. I am aware of the time that it's 8:24, but I do think we only have a few items to wrap up. So I would like to just carry on with the meeting if that's acceptable to council. I'm seeing yeses. So we'll carry on. Bylaw 8.1. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1912, being a bylaw to enter into a transfer payment agreement between the corporation, the Township of Hornepayne, and Her Majesty the Queen in the right of the province of Ontario, represented by the Minister of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry, MND-MNRF, regarding the Northern Ontario Resource Development Supports NORDS Fund for Hornepayne Drinking Water Distribution System upgrades, to be hereby read a first and second time and considered read a third time and finally passed. Any discussion on the bylaw? No discussion on the bylaw? Okay. I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Item number 9, motions and notice of motions. There's none. 10, announcements, none. 11, we're on to the adjournment. If I can get a mover and a seconder for the confirmatory bylaw, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker, second by Councillor John Paroff. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1913, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Those in favor? And that is carried. And finally, we're at our adjournment for tonight, council. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Drago Stefanik, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022 at 8:26 p.m. Those in favor? And that is carried.
Good stuff. Great job, Melissa. Well done.